So here we are, Taryn and I have arches all to ourselves. So after having dinner with our friends the night before this, we went to try to find a campsite, and after a confusing situation we couldn't find one, and so we ended up boondocking in our friend's condo's driveway. We woke up early and we drove up into Arches and were able to watch the sunrise, and then Taryn and I went on this long hike. And there were very few people on the trail for the first half of it. We saw 4 other people, so it was really awesome. So we got one right in the middle there, one right there, and a little one up over there. Pretty cool. I had never been to Arches before, and the landscape really was incredibly stunning. The trail itself was a little more rugged at times than we had expected. Taryn was a little nervous. There were some steep drop-offs here and there, but overall I think we both thought it was worth it. And so we hiked into 00 Arch, and after we got there we turned around and started coming back, and that's when we started running into other people. Right there. Right there. Yeah. Taryn in the Arch. Woohoo! Actually, it might have been called 00 Arch. I can't really remember. I only saw it written. And that's it right there. So after that, we hiked back and we went to some more commonly visited arches, these ones here, and there were a lot more people around, but it was still really cool. But as I looked around, and you look at it, like those arches, I mean, those formations are just unbelievable. But you start panning around, you start looking, and you start seeing what's actually in the park. And I had a thought that maybe the park had been named incorrectly. You would think this park would be called Phalluses. It's called Turret Arch.
You don't?
Looks like it's got a turret off on the side here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, sit on that rock, Taryn. And pretend like you like life and you're happy to be dragged around to all these things. So as the tourists came pouring in, we left Arches to head for Mesa Verde. That was around 11 in the morning, and we got to Mesa Verde fairly early and drove up into the park, which is a long drive because you're gaining elevation. And we went to see one of the first cliff dwellings, which was Spruce Tree House. You can see here, it's pretty awesome.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's as much as Spruce Tree House as we're going to get to see, I guess.
It's the only one that's open.
So as it turned out, most of Mesa Verde was closed seasonally, and so there wasn't much for us to see unless we wanted to pay extra to go tour some specific sites. Mesa Verde, by the way, we're looking off the mesa here down into the valley below it, and it's like 8,000 feet. It's way up there. But most of the cliff dwellings are in these little canyons up on the top of the mesa. In addition, there's buildings on the flat part of the mesa up top. Here's some pit houses, for instance. And there were also kivas, which are these round ceremonial places, which you'll see in a second here. So there was a tunnel that went from the tower there down into the kiva over here. So it turns out that this is all part of the Puebloan culture, which the center of was in this national park called Chaco, which we'd never been to. And when we realized that we could actually go there, we decided that after we'd seen all this stuff, we would just drive there this evening and camp and then go in the morning. So we got ready to do that. But before we left, we had to see the coolest stuff, which was, of course, the cliff dwellings. And if you look across here as we pan through, there's little cliff dwellings all in these cliffs. And apparently they used to climb down to a lot of these from the top. So they would just chisel handholds in the sheer rock faces and scale down, and it was the only way to get to a lot of these dwellings. It's too bad we couldn't get a little closer to them, but I'm really glad we went. We had a good time. So I'll tell you more about our trip to Chaco in the next video.